Thank you for joining the podcast for Beyond the Banter. Before we get started, you need to know some important information. If you need support immediately, please reach out to one of the following organisations. Lifeline on 131114, Beyond Blue on 1300224636, or Men's Line Australia on 1300789978. If your life is in danger, please call 000 immediately.
Beyond the banter, beyond the banter, we'll find the answer.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Banter. Has been a couple of weeks since we've had a male side of the podcast come out, so we're very excited to do this one this afternoon. I'm doing this evening, I should say. I'm doing this from Sydney. Topher's obviously up on the Gold Coast, and our first international guest is calling Scotland home, which is going to be very, very cool to dig into the story. We're looking forward to the end of year. We're looking forward to winding the podcast up for season one. And we can't think of a better way to try and finish it on this note. We'll probably have one more out of a season wrap out, maybe next week or the week after. But look, I won't hold everyone up for too much longer. I'll do a quick intro here, which has come from one of our ambassadors of Lorna. So Lorna works behind the scenes here. She's on the Gold Coast. She's awesome. She really helps us with the brand. And we got chatting about one of her personal friends over in Scotland. And when we heard a little bit about the story and the life journey, we thought this is great. This is perfect for the podcast, and it also just brings it to that, as I said before, international level. So it's really cool to feather in the cap for Beyond the Banter as well, because the idea was to try and get around to all corners of the globe. So I want to introduce today Plewsey. So Plewsey is, as I mentioned, one of Lorna's friends. He going through and having a look at Plewsey's online website. It is such a powerful story and a powerful message, but there's so much to take out of it. So we thought, hey, we'll get you on, bring you on for a chat. If we did say if we did need an interpreter, if we did need to slow down, we'll sort of ask you to repeat it, but we'll definitely do our best. So, mate, I want to welcome you to the Beyond the Banter family. We're really looking forward to this one and having a listen about your journey, because I know that you've covered quite a fair bit so far. So, mate, I'll throw over to you, and you can do your intros, and then we'll kick off.
Hi guys, really nice to meet you guys. It's 10 a.m. over here in Scotland, and it's freezing cold as well and wet. But I've done a bit of research for you guys, and really appreciate you inviting me on. Appreciate Lorna sharing my story with you guys as well. So as an introduction, I used to play ice hockey when I was younger, professionally and semi-professionally, and that brought with it all its drinking culture, etc. And I lived that kind of life that played a big part on sort of where I sort of maybe fell down in life with stuff, etc. A lot of other things, but ice hockey was a big part of my life. And when I wanted to try and break away from a high pressure job, I always wanted to do with ice hockey, and I couldn't find the job that suited me. So I started off my clothing brand called Gloves Off, and it was to help do what you guys are doing as well, and it was to give people a voice, or give people just by wearing clothes as well, that, you know what I mean, if somebody, it's a talking point, if somebody sees someone wearing a brand, that it could get them talking, just even if it's over a coffee or a pint in the bar or something like that. I thought it would be a good way, and it's never became my full-time job. It's always a passion to try and make it my full-time job, but you never know. It's we're here for quite a long time when you look at things. But no, it's
it catches up with you. When we started, I mean, we just had a small idea like yourself, and before we knew it, it's exploded this thing where it just takes up so much of your time, and so we can resonate with that 100%. And it's funny you mentioned the brand thing, because when we did this, we set it up to do the same sort of thing. So if people saw our logo or our brand, they know that they could just approach us. We can have a chat, or we can refer you to the podcast or anything like that. So there's quite a connection there in terms of what you're just talking about, the brand awareness as well.
So you guys exact same. When for someone you wouldn't go talk to a stranger if you didn't know them at all. But if they had something on that you would just strike up and they've bought that product for a reason. My reason could just be ice hockey related, and nothing to do with the mental side of it, but that one conversation could help someone. You know what I mean? That's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I love that. We love that. So and as I said, it's a connection to what we do as well. So
yeah.
So let's give your website a plug first. So where can people find out a little bit more about yourself?
So it's glovesoff.co.uk. I've also over the past had glovesoffclothing.com, etc. So there are a few what they're called. Forget the name of them. They're out there. Glovesoffclothing.co.uk, etc. So that takes you to it's clothing only at the moment. And it's all customizable, etc. You could choose your colours and sizes and logos, etc., and to your own liking, or your own teams and stuff like that. Whether it's football, whether it's ice hockey or rugby and stuff, people could choose their own colour that matches what they want to do. So, yeah,
right. And you ship globally?
I have shipped globally. I just shipped to America last week, and it cost me more money. It cost me more money to ship than I thought. I'll take half it on board, and then you go to the post office, and it's like, okay, that's just I just lost money there. But it's something I need to really address going forward. Global shipping, but I've shipped to Australia. I've got a lot of friends that live in Australia, and they play ice hockey over there as well, and they love the brand. But it's So
that's good. That's awesome. That's awesome. So anyone listening that wants to buy something, contact us, and we'll make sure we go through the shipping thing and just you charge them an extra. I don't know. Is $100? $100 going to cover it? What is it? About 60 quid? I think. So.
But it's expensive. I mean, I don't know if someone's listening that want to start my brand up and print and post in Australia. Feel free to hit me up.
There you go. Maybe we can do something together. I don't know. All right. So moving on from that, I guess. So let's go back to the very start. What was life like, I guess, growing up, and how did you fall into ice hockey? Because I didn't realise how big ice hockey actually was in the UK. I didn't. After doing a bit of research on yourself, it's actually quite a popular sport over there, and I wasn't aware of it because it's not big here. It's not big in Australia. When we think ice hockey, we think obviously NHL and Canada and that sort of stuff. But it's not really that big here. And when I did have a look, it's actually quite popular. And I've got another mate that lives in Ireland, and I can't remember what ice hockey team. He's with one over there as well that competes in the league as well. So it's actually quite big. So I want to know a little bit more about, I guess, how you came into it, life growing up, all that sort of stuff, and then we'll just ask some questions along the way.
So I started playing ice hockey when I was nine years old. My best mate, Paul, he gets called Bucket. Bucket was he had family in Canada, and he would play ice hockey. So I've got a twin brother. He gets called Junior. So me and my twin brother went public skating. And then we just started playing ice hockey, beginners, and I was an absolute man child when I was young, and my twin brother was just like way smaller than me, and still is. And he got all his equipment brand new, and I got all the second hand gear. I got all the second hand equipment, all adult. It was like adult sizes, and so yeah, he was always like something out of a catalogue, and everything was just too big for me and second hand and stuff. But it never stopped me. But so we went on to play through the juniors, and when I explained that I was a man child, I got my first game for the Fife Flyers, the professional league, when I was 14 years old. And
Wow.
I was physically like fighting guys, fighting adults, grown men, when I was 14, 15 years old. And that was a part of my game. So, as you're probably aware of, fighting in the ice hockey, and you take your gloves off, and you just go hammer and tongs until somebody hits the ground. So that was a huge part of my game, right through my entire career. Was the fighting side, looking after people, and
Well, can I just ask you, so every match, how many fights would be in every match roughly? Like, is it a common thing, or
you would struggle to go through a match without maybe one.
okay?
There was maximum, I would always say maybe two or three. You know what I mean? It was not something that happened all the time, but there was usually one. But and sometimes it wasn't the tough guys that done it. Sometimes it was two wiry little forwards that just, you know what I mean? There's no reason for it. It just happens. It's rarely. Sometimes you know it's going to happen. Sometimes you know stuff has happened, or people done something or said something, and you know things are going to get settled, and you know it's going to happen. But 90% of the time, it's heat of the moment stuff. So yeah, it's coming. It's not planned or anything like that. Stuff like that.
So would you, well, not just you, but obviously people that are fighting, would they get knocked out? Like, would they get knocked out to the ground? Would they have to be taken off the ice? All that sort of stuff? It's you?
It's funny you ask, because I've never lost a lot of fights, but I got knocked out when I was 15 by a tough guy, a Canadian guy.
Right.
I picked the wrong guy. And his first name is Tyler, and my oldest son's called Tyler, and a lot of my mates, they still remind me to the day. I've never been knocked out since, because at that time I changed my hands to my left hand, and I got put to sleep. And I've never threw another left in my life, all my life. So I learned pretty quick there. So it does happen, and I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen on a video just down in England last week. Boy got proper put to sleep, but a lot, 90%, a high percentage, 99 is just hammer and tongs, and then when you hit the ice, someone hits ice, or both you guys fall over, the linesman, the referees jump in. So it's quite safe. It is reasonably a safe thing to do, as much as it looks weird, looks hard. So when I started playing, I moved from my hometown to the Edinburgh to play for Murrayfield, the Murrayfield Racers, and I spent most of my time away from my hometown. So that was in Glasgow, Edinburgh, Dundee, and then I went down south down in England for a few months, and then got re-signed back up home again. But so I played most of the Scottish clubs, but then I stopped when I was only 23, and people think I'm about 60 years old because I started so young. But I stopped quite young as well, and that was when I became a dad for the first time at 21. And my dad, that was young, but it was even worse in a way. My dad was killed in an accident when I was 21, and my son, he was born the day after my dad's funeral. So that was it was a sobering kind of, what would you call it? It was a tough time, but the highs were way up there as well, becoming a dad, etc. So a lot of that stuff, my dad's side of things, got kind of probably pushed to the side. You know, the sort of the green side of things. So I had to get a proper job, and I gave up ice hockey and become a salesman, because it was just straight into sales. It was just, you know what I mean, no qualifications, etc. And I became really good at that. I had 8 years of sales manager and stuff, and that was when the high pressure came in. And that was when the sort of the drinking side and the I don't know what, drinking and drugs, and then I was moving into my career. Caught up with me I've had 4 spine operations, and I've had 2 discs taken out my neck and replaced, and each time the rehab was painkillers, etc., and all the sort of top end painkiller stuff that you can get, the opioids and stuff. So I went through all that. And I actually went back to play ice hockey when I was 12 years ago, when I was what was that, 2010, I think I went back. So I was 32, I think. I sort of started playing again, helping mates out who turned into coaches, and they like come and look after all the young guys and stuff. So I was back at it again, looking after the boys and sort of letting loose some steam. But
just in your local area, like in your...
No, it was the first one was through in Paisley in Glasgow, and then I went down to a place called Dumfries, which is just on the English border, and that's where I was last night, watching my son play against them. But so that brought with it its own struggles, marriage struggles, etc. That happened.
Can I just ask, before we jump into that? So your spinal injuries that you had, was that a direct result of ice hockey?
Yeah.
So you played for 9 years, and you had those injuries after 9 years.
I had lower back issues when I was 14, when I started playing for the Fife Flyers. I was getting cortisone injections and privately in a doctor's house at 14. And the surgeons like, he couldn't believe it. He says that's one of the main reasons is you are how you are right now with your lower back, etc. But so my neck was ice hockey related by just the physicality of the game. And it could have not operated, but because I became an adult apprentice for a joiner, to become a joiner, a chippy if you want to call them, and that I needed to use my hands. So the surgeon says, you need to feel your fingertips for your job, so we'll operate. And so that stopped my hockey dead. You know what I mean, which wasn't a bad thing. I knew I had to stop it at some point, but it was tough going, because each operation, like I said, it was a downward spiral for the painkiller side of things, for you become addicted.
The painkiller. That's the part, right? That's the.
That's massive part for any form of sportsman that plays physical sports. It's such an easy road to go down. Yeah.
Well, mate, you had cortisone injections at 14. I'm 43. I only had one 6 months ago because of my shoulder, and I persevered with that for a year. So it made it 14. You're getting that sort of stuff done. It's quite scary, and I guess you could look back now and being the age you are, you wouldn't think that you'd do that to a kid, right? It just wouldn't happen, right? So it's crazy to think what life was like back then to the way it is now. But mate, just on your professional career, I'm in the same boat. So I'm in sales as well, but I'm in IT sales. Very similar. I haven't gone down the sales manager side just as yet, but I understand those pressures that you're talking about. I understand the culture that you're talking about. I get it all. I don't drink at all. I gave up about about 6 years ago, I just sort of stopped for my own mental health. But I know exactly what you're talking about. I understand the culture. I know what it's like. It's go, 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 and you have to stay up or you get left behind sort of thing. So fully understand that, and I just wanted to sort of acknowledge that as well, because I do understand what you're talking about there. And a lot of people that listen to this podcast are friends of mine. They're in the IT industry, in the sales game. They're sort of connected as well, and I know exactly what you're talking about. So
yes, it's to be in that environment and to play a team sport where there's a drinking culture.
yes.
It's not frowned upon, but if you need to be strong to be able to say no. I'm not going to have a drink. I went out Friday 2 days ago for my work's day out, and I turned up. And they're like, you put money in the kitty, Plewsey? And I'm like, no. And every single one of them just turned around and was like, what? Why? I says, I'm driving. And they're like, eh? Seriously? You joking? I'm like, no. I've opened up a shop 3 weeks ago. I've decided to go for it with a shop. And says, no, how are you going to run a business? So I had my food in that, and they're like, are you joking? It's like 2 hours into it. I take it you're joking. You're going to have a pint. I'm like, no, I'm away. I'm away to work. And they're like, okay. And that's I'm 47. You know what I mean? It's like, I never had that. I literally never had that strength all these years ago. It's like, oh, I'm in. You know what I mean? Whatever needs done can wait. I'm in, guys. I'm in. Yeah, it's a tough situation still. For anyone to be able to say no.
I can imagine. Me and Topher, we don't drink. When we were growing up together, we used to, go out and go through school and all that sort of stuff. But so we sort of got to an age where we just, I don't know what it was like for you, Topher, but for me, I stopped one because of my mental health. But I sort of just lost the thrill of it, I guess. And don't get me wrong, I've had some very good times, and I've partied in Glasgow and London, and I've had a very good time. But I don't know, it's just one of those things. I don't know if it's just that you get older and you just realise that it's not the answer. I don't know what it is. Topher, I don't know if you've got any comments on that.
Yeah, I stopped drinking about a year and a half ago. Partly because of just looking after my mental health, but I just found it just wasn't something I enjoyed anymore. To get to that point of drinking to get drunk type thing. Yeah. I work in hospitality, right? So it's very much a drinking culture, and it's just something that even when I go out with colleagues now, we'll go to a party of some sort after hours or a networking event, and they're like, "What do you mean you're not drinking?" Because I'm the only guy there going, "You got zero alcohol beer." But it is a culture shift, and you do get some strange looks, especially from some of the other lads when you're saying no.
Or you order one of your beers, look at you funny.
Yeah. Which is a cultural issue in its own. We're talking about mental health, and then here's people that are too scared to say no, I don't want to drink because the culture is, well, you got to drink with me. Yeah.
Or just order an Uber. Just leave the car and get an Uber. Sort of stuff. I was going to ask, zero beers, zero alcohol. Has that hit the UK, Scotland? Is it around? Is it?
Yeah. It's quite. I ordered one for. It's the opposite end of the scale. I was in Glasgow last week for the Madness. The band Madness for the concert. And my friend's son was with us, who was in his 20s, and he just had way too much. So I ordered him a 0% beer, and when we got back to the hotel, and the woman I says, could you put that in a glass for me, please? And she brought it over to the table and says, who's the 0% for? And my mate's son looks at me through one eye, and he goes, it's no for me. And I was like, so there's it's quite fresh. There is a stigma with it. But it's understandable, and it's we're not married, but my sister-in-law, my brother's wife, she works for Diageo, and they said that the money spent on 0% on the marketing side is like astronomical worldwide.
Mm.
So it's a good thing. Only a good
Oh, it
thing.
is. Have you seen them on taps over there at the moment?
No.
No. So I've seen it in one place in Australia. I've seen Heineken on tap in one place, Zero Heineken, but we've got probably 10 brands out here now that do it, maybe even more. So I think it's a good thing as well. And you know what? It's so like when you go out and you're with people and they order a zero before they even ask you. Like it's good to see that people actually are taking that step to look after themselves. So yeah. So all right, awesome. So all right, so. Mate, you've gone through a lot there already. I mean, 14 years old, your cortisone injections, you became a dad. I mean, we're both late dads. I'm 43. My little girl's 6, turning 21 on Friday, next Friday, and I've got a boy that's 5. So I couldn't imagine doing it at such a young age. That in itself, massive achievement. So I wanted to mention that as well. So, all right, so you get to that stage, you've got back in the sales, you're working, you're doing all that sort of stuff, and where did it start to sort of go a little bit wrong for you?
When would it be? I went back to playing ice hockey, and I was a sales manager, and I had my first. I'm trying to think. I never even had my first operation. But when I went away from my home to play ice hockey, that was when I must have had an operation because I was on painkillers and alcohol and playing ice hockey and holding down a job. But when I knew I was going down a slippery slope, and I wasn't wanting to get up in the morning to do my job. Every day was a chore. And on the gloves off side of things, where it started was that sales job where I would work all day and then I would have to go and cold call on houses during the night. And that's when I couldn't get out of my car. When gloves off was born because I wanted to get away from it. So I never started gloves off. When I lost my job, I actually lost my sales manager job by getting into trouble in the clubs that I was selling to. So I was selling stuff to, and everything, like janitorial from glassware, cutlery, restaurants. That's what my job was, and then it took every bouncer in the place to move me from the bar one night. And it was our biggest company that we sold to, and so I literally physically lost my job that week through a drink, and I decided that I need to stop what I'm doing and enjoy what I do for a job. So my friend gave me a job straight away through in Glasgow, and I travelled every morning at 6:30 in the morning to be a labourer. And he said, "You ever thought about being an adult apprentice joiner?" I says, "Yeah, I've done joinery work. I'm quite good doing that stuff." So he set the wheels in motion and said he would take me on, but a job came out of my local council for adult apprenticeships, and I put in for it and I got it, and that was a hard time in my life because I was earning like serious money as a sales manager, and I went down to £14,000 a year as an adult apprentice. And that brought with it its own struggles financially. So that's when I went back to play hockey as well, to get some money to play ice hockey semi-pro as well. So it's all kind of muddled up there how things went. But the big learning curve for me was why I lost my job, and I decided to do something about it. And then when I changed my job, I loved my job. And then my operations came, and then my rehab came from operations, and I stopped doing my job, and then I became office related. So now I'm a supervisor with the local council. So yeah, that's I always know where I am, and I've always every slippery slope I've went down, I've understood, you know what I mean, and I was really bad when I separated from my family. And 18 months me and my wife were apart, and
It's a long time.
that's when I seeked help. That's when I got professional help. And
That's a long time.
I needed someone to tell me that. I needed told to go get professional help. Because like you guys, you a lot of people, I don't need it. I can sort myself. I'll sort myself. And I knew I tried everything. I wasn't sorting myself. So that's when I seek professional help. And I reiterate that professional help to everyone I meet that I discuss mental health with. It's just all the things. I was talking about it last night with friends, because I was down in Dumfries where I used to play ice hockey. Loads of friends down there, and just straight into the conversation, I asked him how he was, and he kind of hummed and hawed, and, you know what I mean? And I'm like, "What's up?" And he goes, "No, I'm good. I'm just I struggle now and again." And he's the two of them were ex-Marines. My two mates were ex-Marines, and they've been through some serious stuff. And he goes, "No," and we just went straight into depth about our mental health. The three of us just discussing it, and and the three of us had a drink in our hand. But we're like, tomorrow, you understand that when you wake up after a drink, you're going to have thoughts, and you know what I mean. They would have went on to party last night. It was one of those Christmas nights, but I never, obviously, coming home this morning. But yeah, it's just the seeking professional help, which both those guys did as well. We just discussed the professional help that we received, and you hear things that you go, you know what, that makes sense. And it's very powerful for somebody to admit that they go get mental health professional help. It's much you can talk too much.
Did you seek out that help yourself, or were you encouraged to do it?
I was encouraged. Yeah, I was encouraged. Because I was so low, you know what I mean, and I was drinking a lot, and I was washing. Yeah, I was prepared to not wake up in the morning by the amount of prescribed drugs washed down with wine. You know what I mean, every night, and it was tough. Probably one of the toughest things I've done.